All right, everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Non Sequitur Nerds. As always, I'm Tim, joined by my good friend Ian. Ian, how's it going tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Tim. Here, happy, damn glad to see you.
Hey, likewise, bud, likewise. So, how the holidays treating you?
The holidays treating me pretty good. Got the kids some really cool presents, lots of Legos, Star Wars toys. You know me, my kids follow along with me quite well and are just as nerdy as I am.
Oh, dude, I hear that. You can never go wrong with Legos.
Oh yes, absolutely.
I mean, I still play with them, so,
Well, my kid is a little bit more protective of his Legos, so I just have to play with him when he's not looking.
there you go. That's the way to do it. Sneak in some Lego time.
Exactly. Alrighty, folks. Well, today we are going to be covering a new topic, one that
Yep,
we haven't talked about before, but it goes in line with what we like to talk about. So today we're going to be talking about the new gen consoles.
yep, that we are.
For those of you who may be living under a rock, that would be the new Xbox Series line, which includes the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. And then from the Sony side of the house, we've got the PlayStation 5.
That we do. Like the one thing that going back from years ago, my time at GameStop when the Xbox One was a brand new thing. Like it just seems like Xbox, like they're coming up with all these cool, catchy marketing names for them. But for most consumers, like the parents that don't necessarily know gaming, their naming system is just so convoluted. I mean, I remember we had so many people that would come in when the Xbox One was a new thing. They'd be like, "So why are you selling the old Xbox for so much when the 360's out?" And we'd have to, explain to them that, well, they called it the One. And, we'd explain why it's called that and all that. And then we get the look, they might as well have just said, "You're an idiot." Because saying it sounded like you were, a friggin' idiot, validating the name for it. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, well, as we do. Uh, you know, I think that's a good actually starting point for discussion. I will say this: Microsoft must have taken their naming conventions from the Square Enix Disney Kingdom Hearts line of
Oh my
naming.
god. Yeah, that's a
Those
valid
games,
point.
yeah, those games make absolutely no sense. Let's see, there was Kingdom Hearts 1.
All right,
Then I
makes
believe
sense.
there was Chain of Memories. I think came in between, and
I,
then there was Kingdom Hearts 2.
yep.
And then there were 47 other randomly named Kingdom Hearts games that were full games released on different platforms. And it was only last year, I believe, in 2019, I think is when when Kingdom Hearts 3 finally released.
Right. Yeah. It was
Um,
either late last year or early this year. I can't remember.
so there's three games in the full series, and only 17 in between side mission games that you actually do need to play if you want to understand the story. Now, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
folks. I absolutely love the Kingdom Hearts series. I love the games, but for crying out loud, folks, find a naming scheme that works, and let's actually like make a cohesive story here.
Well, I mean, let's see. What was the one? Like 358 days over two. I think is the official name for it. But if you look at it, it's like, all right, so 358 divided by 2 days, or it just looks weird, and it's a weird name. But no, I think you were the one that actually years ago got me into Kingdom Hearts. Mostly because I'm like, oh, it's a Disney RPG. Well, that sounds kind of gimmicky. And then I think I watched you play it when you were in college, if I remember right. Um,
Something like that.
yeah, or you were playing one of them in college or right around that time, and I'm like, huh, okay, this actually looks pretty cool. And then I've played all the mainline ones since then, and as well as some of the spin-off ones. But yeah, like you said, there's Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3. That's all right. So you're getting the main chunk of the story. But yeah, like you said, you got to play a lot of the side stuff to get most of what you need to know.
Yeah, for those folks who haven't played Kingdom Hearts 3, they do a fairly decent job of summarizing most of the major story elements at the
They
beginning of
do. They
3
do.
that you miss, but you still miss a lot of the nuance, minutia, and the real heart and soul of some of the heart, haha,
Yeah.
no pun intended. But, you miss some of the heart of Kingdom Hearts by skipping out those other games. But we are once again digressing.
Yep.
So back to the matter at hand. We're going to begin talking about the Xbox Series. line of Xbox new gen consoles and the PlayStation 5. I myself was lucky enough to manage to score a Series S on pre-order launch day from Microsoft. Tim, you managed to get a hold of a console. I think you may have beat up a midget in a parking lot for it, but
Well, I mean, to be fair, he put up a really good fight. But no, I managed to snag one from Best Buy on one of their random drops. So I got lucky, made an hour trip to go get it. But yeah, I got one.
nice. So for those of you listening, just as a kind of set the stage here, I will be speaking for the Series S. Tim will be speaking for the PS5. We do not own the other console. We have not played the other console, but I think we've seen them in action
Yeah.
at this point. So
Yep.
our opinions are kind of subjective and kind of weighted. And so if we want to set even more of the stage here, I myself have been playing Xbox since the original OG Xbox that came out God knows how many years ago and
It's been a
weighed
while.
about as much as a vault. So I've had all of the Xbox versions, at least major versions. So Xbox One, Xbox 360, now the Series line. I have not owned a PlayStation console since the PS2. I still have my PS2 for those of you out there, but I haven't owned a PlayStation console since then.
See, and me, I'm the opposite. I have literally owned every PlayStation console, not including slim, like some of the slimline versions I've gotten, but I've had PS1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 now. I've had all the PlayStation handhelds, PSP, PSP Go, Vita. I was a fan of Sony's portable line. I've had the PlayStation VR, so I mean I've kind of covered it all. But I mean that being said, I own an original Xbox. I can actually see it from my desk here. I owned a 360. Don't have that anymore. I've got an Xbox One X sitting upstairs on the TV. So I mean, I've played the Xbox, but Sony, for the kind of games that I play, Sony has always kind of hit that niche for me. So
Yeah, and I can completely appreciate that. And I'm again the same way with the Xbox side of things. I think you were the one who actually introduced me to the Xbox. We are late night high school Halo binges.
yep, yep.
Sniper Tank, that was always a fun one. Um,
Or
but
our grenade game that we would play on Halo 1.
oh yes, the grenade game, or when the other person wasn't looking, we'd walk up behind them and smack them in the back to kill them.
Yep. Good times, good
Uh,
times.
yes. So I was introduced to the Xbox vis-a-vis Tim. I've been playing on the Xbox since then. Each console has progressively brought something new, something better. One of the things with Xbox and Microsoft is after the OG Xbox with the 360, the design of their controller, they really kind of hit that nail on the head for them because the controller design has not fundamentally changed since since the Xbox 360, and it's been nice to feel that level of comfort. And what's really nice with the new series line, is that the controllers will generally work with the Xbox One line, and they can also be Bluetooth linked to your PCs. So
Which is definitely
Microsoft,
pretty nice.
right? Microsoft having that major foothold in the PC market with Windows has definitely built an ecosystem in support of their gamers. You can have your games on your Xbox Series line. You can have your games on your Xbox One line. You can have your game. You can have games on your PCs. And this all kind of culminates together with the Game Pass subscription service, Game Pass Ultimate, which gives you access for a monthly subscription fee, much like Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus.
Yep.
Watch the Mandalorian season finale. You won't be disappointed.
Do it. Do it now. Do it.
You're gonna see though you have the ability to play these games. And the other thing with the series line that I thought was really impressive is their smart delivery system. For those of you who don't know what the smart delivery system is, basically the Xbox could tell which system that you're playing a game on. So if you have an Xbox One and then an Xbox Series X, for the sake of this podcast, I'm just going to refer to it as the Series X, try to shorten up some of the vowels and
Right.
syllables here. Uh, the system will actually know which version of the game to download to your console and which version to utilize. And it's all cloud saves, cross saves, and stuff like that. So most games will allow you to carry your save data through the cloud. I actually did that even on my my One X for a long time, where I'd play games down in my living room, and then I'd come upstairs and hang out with my uh, significant other for a while, and then once she went to bed, then I'd start playing games again and have my saves transferred upstairs.
Well, there you go. So this definitely, I mean, definitely seems like it's built around an ecosystem of convenience. That no matter where or how you're playing, you can keep playing.
Yes, I would absolutely say that. The game lines that they come up with, Microsoft is making some really big, bold moves out in the industry right now. They obviously have a hold of the Halo franchise. That has been one of their key cornerstone franchises since the original Xbox.
Oh yeah,
They've
absolutely.
also just recently completed, or at least are in process of purchasing, ZeniMax, which is going to give them access to id Software, the makers of Doom and Wolfenstein, as well as the industry titan of Bethesda Softworks, who
Yeah.
make games such as Fallout, Elder Scrolls. Those are really the two major ones.
Right.
So
now piggybacking off of that, do you think that we're going to see, the Elder Scrolls and Fallout series be console? Well, I don't even want to necessarily say even console, but Microsoft exclusive.
I don't know. It's hard for me to say. As we're talking about this right now, Microsoft has already released Skyrim on Game Pass, as well as the Doom games, maybe just Doom Eternal. So they're already starting to get a hold of some of these properties to put out there.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's kind of a thing of going, do I really want to give up that additional revenue, that additional potential revenue of doing a cross-platform game? And Bethesda mostly focuses on single player type games, with the exception of EverQuest Online, or I'm sorry, not EverQuest Online, Elder Scrolls Online, and the often not talked about, and for good reasons, Fallout 76.
I knew you were going with that one.
So if they stick to the formula that has really made them big in the industry, I would want to say that they're going to continue doing single player games, have cloud saves available, and probably my guess would be timed exclusives. So the next Fallout game, for example, or the next Elder Scrolls game, for example, will wind up being on Xbox first for maybe 6 months or a year, and then it'll go to PC.
Right.
And we've seen that kind of behavior before. If you look at the original Destiny that came out 6 years ago, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
The game released on multiple systems. However, I believe Bungie and Activision had an exclusive deal or some exclusivity deals with Sony.
Yep.
That Sony PlayStation players got content, like certain content or weapon exclusives a year ahead of everybody else.
Right. Well, and like the downside was, by the time everybody else got a lot of the items and whatnot, there was stuff that was better than that.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem with exclusivity that I don't like. But if we kind of circle back to what we were talking about, though, I think we're going to see timed exclusives, which is really going to put Microsoft in a very strong position for being able to do, overtakes Sony's pretty dominant lead that they've had in the market for a long time.
Right.
Do I think that they'll be able to fully do it? I don't know. It depends on what Sony can fire back with. The other strength that I'm going to chalk up to Microsoft is the fact that they have really opened up Xbox Live to anybody that wants to be on the system, or anybody that wants to utilize the platform. So they basically paved the way to allow for crossplay, and we've seen that successfully done first and foremost in Minecraft.
Yep, absolutely.
Where they opened up Minecraft to be crossplay with PC, with console, and with a Nintendo Switch. That was a pairing that we didn't think was going to.
Yeah,
I don't. That kind of came out of left field to me.
Well, and like when they announced it, I'm like, wait, what? Like I had to reread the article to make sure, like, is this really a thing? And then I mean,
published by the.
Oh, go ahead.
So, published by The Onion.
Right, yeah. I was half expecting that, but no. I mean, it's been great because like if I'm playing Minecraft on my PC, if my kids want to play it with me, obviously they don't each have a PC, but they each have Switches. They can boot that up. We can still play together, no problems at all. And it's nice that you've got that versatility of knowing that, especially in that game, you don't have to worry about how your friends are playing, just that they're playing.
Yep. Well, I've spent some time, obviously, singing the praises of Microsoft. So, what do you have to say about Sony?
Sony. Okay. So, initial thoughts on the PS5. It's freaking huge. I knew that the console from all the memes and everything online. I knew that it was big. It was kind of a, I'll be nice and say, unique design choice. But when when I picked up the box, I'm like, okay, that's got some heft to it. It's probably a lot of packaging and stuff in there. No, it's just the console. The thing is huge. I had to move stuff off of my entertainment center and rearrange stuff just to even get it on there.
I mean, what would you say? It's over a foot long, I think.
Easily. Like I don't know the exact dimensions off the top of my head, but I mean it's big. It's big. So I mean, if you're planning on getting one, if anybody listening is planning on getting one, make sure you got the space for it. And yes, you can lay it horizontally, which is what I had to do, just to get it to fit. Because the only way I could set it up vertically, like how they show it on the box and all the ads for it, is if I had it sitting, in front of my TV, taking up, 8 inches at the bottom of my screen on one side. But that aside, my biggest thing that I'm impressed with on the PS5 is the new controller. I know you had talked about that ever since the 360, Microsoft has pretty much stayed to that exact same form factor. They tweak it a little bit here and there, but for the most part, if you pick up a 360 controller, it doesn't feel odd if you go to, an Xbox One controller. They feel almost identical. Maybe, a little different angle, but that's about it. Sony, while their controllers have had the same basic shape, I mean, they have evolved, over time. The PS5 controller, I absolutely love it. The big thing for it is the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers, which I know, they talk about that in all their marketing and whatnot. I'm like, oh, okay, it's got rumble and some trigger tech. Okay, whatever. Having actually used it, though, there is a game that comes pre-installed on every new PS5 called Astro's Playroom, which is, especially for people that are fans, of Sony in general, it's great for that because the levels go through and they're themed around PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and it kind of takes you through the history of Sony. But with that not only is a tech demo of what the console can do, it also shows you, all right, here's what the controller can do. Going through that, there's one spot in the game where your character is going through the level and it starts raining. And normally on controllers, we've all used controllers with rumble function. It shakes. And it's pretty much got two settings, on or off for the most part. You might get a little bit lighter rumble, but with this, they're using a new rumble technology that it almost, to me, the best way to describe it is anybody that's played a Nintendo Switch and has played any of the games that use their rumble technology. It's similar to that, but I think much more expanded. Like I was saying, there's a part where you go through the Astro's Playroom and it starts raining. And you actually feel like the pings of rain against your character's umbrella that he has up in the controller, and it legitimately feels like you're holding an umbrella handle while rain is beating down on it. You feel that specific vibration. The triggers are really neat. The way the adaptive triggers work is, as an example, also in Astro's Playroom, because I'll be honest, so far that is the best showing of the controller. I'm excited to see, that I've experienced anyway. I'm excited to see what more Sony does with it. But in that same game, you get a bow and arrow. And as you pull back on the trigger to draw back your arrow, just like a real bow, the farther you pull back, the harder it is to get. The trigger will actually push back against you. So when you first pull down on it, it's pretty light. But as you get farther and farther to pulling the trigger all the way back, it actually pushes against you and gives you that tension. So it's much more immersive than what I've seen on a controller before. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, it's a gimmick. And yeah, absolutely, it's a gimmick, but it's a fun gimmick, and it's one that I thought was just a really good showing of how they can expand on controllers. Because, for the most part, controllers, there's not much more you can do apart from changing the shape of a controller or changing a button layout that you can really do to innovate it. And I think with what Sony has done with the PS5 controller, has kind of hit that mark. It is a huge jump from what the PS4 controller is capable of. I think it's a lot more comfortable. They tweaked up the shape. It's still the same basic silhouette, but they've tweaked it up, and it feels like just even the feeling of it is a marked improvement over what the PS4 had. Now, I don't think the PS4 had a bad controller by any stretch, but this it feels more comfortable. It's easier to hold in the hands. They reoriented all the triggers at the top of the controller a little bit, makes them easier to get to. But as far as games go, and I think you and I have kind of touched on this before when we've been talking about this stuff. As of now, I don't think that for either console, I don't think that there's a system seller for either one. But there's a lot of games that are on the horizon. And I mean, that's how a lot of console launches go. Is there's games for them at launch, but those big, like heavy hitter system sellers, unless you're Nintendo and release Mario right out the gate, they're not really there at launch, But I'm excited to see like what Sony can do game-wise going forward. I know you had talked about how the Xbox really is built around an ecosystem of playing wherever, but Sony, like I'll give you the point on this one. Sony doesn't really have that kind of ecosystem right now. Might they come up with something like that? Maybe down the road. I mean, they do have some of their own subscription services, like they have PlayStation Now, which does have a lot of really good classic games on it. But they don't, again, giving you the point on this one, they don't have their PlayStation Now, in my opinion, even being a Sony guy, I don't think compares to the value that you get with Game Pass. Because like you said, with Game Pass, you could play it on your Xbox. You could play it on your PC. You could play it on your laptop, on the go. You could play it on a different Xbox, a different model Xbox that supports it. And you've got that functionality. With me, if I want to play a PS5 game, I've got to be there at my PS5. Now, I mean, there are ways to stream the console to tablets, things like that. I haven't done that yet with my PS5. I did that with my PS4 quite a bit. But there's still not that, if I'm sitting in front of my PC and I want to play, the new Spider-Man, which was a fun game, short but fun, I can't really do that. I have to have my PS5 there or, do the streaming thing or whatnot. But, I mean, Sony, like I said at the top of the show, they have always had the kind of games that I play. Sony has always had, I'm a big RPG guy. Sony has always had a lot more of those than the Microsoft systems did. Now, I mean, you are starting to see more of those come to Xbox. So a lot of companies are going, well, yeah, we always sell well on Sony, but if we put it out multi-platform, we sell even more, make even more money. So you are starting to see those kind of games come to Xbox more. But I mean, if you look at just their both companies' libraries in general historically, Sony has always gotten more of the RPG kind of games that I like. So, but yeah, that's my 2 cents anyway. Did I lose you? All right, folks. Well, you're going to be hearing me talk for the next 20 minutes. So Ian, his PC just blue screened. I just got a message from him. Well, holy crap! I hope everything's okay. But so I'll kind of carry on here a little bit. I don't dislike the Xbox. I don't by any stretch. Like I said, I own an Xbox One X. I like it for what it does. I think it's great.
Sorry, I didn't know that. But you have Xbox enabled.
Oh, hush.
Do you want to open it?
Sorry, my Alexa decided to start talking there during the show. But for me, like I do have Game Pass. I'll fully admit it. I mainly use it for my PC. Because my PC, compared to my One X, is quite a bit more versatile. I can do more with it. I can adjust the settings to make the game play how I want it to play. But I don't dislike the Xbox. I've just always been more of a PlayStation fan. And they're both good consoles. I'm just, in general, excited to see what both of them come forward with. I probably am not going to be getting one of the new series line of Xboxes. Mostly because at least from what they've shown off so far, their first-party titles seem to be primarily coming to not necessarily the Xbox, but to the Microsoft ecosystem. They've announced a lot of their exclusives are also going to be coming on PC. So until I get to a point where the games just fundamentally will perform better, look better, have better features on the console versus what my PC can handle. I may eventually get an Xbox, but as of right now, it's not on my radar right now. So I know Ian's got his; he's really enjoyed it. But yeah, I mean, the new consoles. It's always fun to see a new console launch, and all the hype around it. I don't like the console wars at all. I mean, let people play what they play. I play PlayStation. I like it. I also own an Xbox. Ian owns an Xbox. He doesn't own a PlayStation, but he doesn't poo-poo on anybody that owns the other one. We're both in the mindset of, like I said, just let people enjoy what they enjoy. Let people play how they want to play. If you want to play on an Xbox, awesome. You want to play on a PlayStation, awesome. You want to play on a Nintendo console, heck, awesome. I love Nintendo. You want to play on a PC, you want to play on your phone, you want to play tabletop, whatever. Just enjoy it. I mean, that's really what gaming does in general. It's just it's a way for people to just kind of unwind, relax, and just enjoy something. Whether you're playing, Super Mario and just, reliving some of your classic nostalgic days, or whether you're playing something like Demon's Souls and are literally punishing yourself while you play it. If you enjoy it, hey, go for it. Gaming is just all about having fun. And that's one of the things that, like I had mentioned earlier, I worked at GameStop for quite a while, just shy of 10 years. During there, while I was there, one of my greatest things that I loved is just seeing people get excited about games. And listening to people, give me like, hey, have you played this game? Oh yeah, awesome. Let's talk about it. And hey, Ian, it sounds like you're back actually. Or he died again. But that was one of the things I loved, is just talking to people about, games, what we liked about them, what we didn't like about them. Talking to some of my coworkers about, if we were all playing the same game, like, oh, hey, what where are you at? What level have you gotten to? Things like that. And just seeing, sharing that as gamers. And that's something that I've always enjoyed.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now, bud. I've been carrying on while you.
Again.
Yeah.
Exit Discord.
I don't think he can hear me at all. But no, I mean, gaming's just it's something that I've always been passionate about. I'm gonna let him know I'm still recording. I don't think he can hear me there. Gotta love technical issues. But no, that's one of the things I've always loved about gaming, is just talking to people about the things that they enjoy, and that was one of my favorite things about working at GameStop. But it's always neat to see around a console launch. For me, this is the first major launch that's happened since I've left the company. I was still with GameStop when the PS4 and Xbox One launched. So for me, it's nice to, as an adult, see how these launches are from the outside versus being behind the counter in those situations. So it's been nice to see people so passionate about these things. Now, I will say kind of the dark shadow looming over this launch is just the sheer amount of scalpers and sheer amount of just trouble that people have had to get either one of these two new consoles. Ian and I have both been lucky enough to snag, one of the new systems each. But when I go online and I see people trying to sell like PS5s as an example for $7, $8, $9, over $1,000, and it's the fact that there's so many people that want them, that these scalpers are getting away with selling these systems for, at some points more than double what their retail value is. That's something that I think that there needs to be some way to put a stop to that. I mean, from the...
Yeah, I would agree.
Oh, okay, now you can hear me.
It's really kind of criminal that that people are allowed to do that.
Well, I know the UK, I was reading online, the UK is actually taking measures to stop that, which, I mean, I think, kudos to them for doing that. But from the manufacturer standpoints, all that they see, is, all right, well, somebody bought a system from us, or they bought a system from one of our retail partners.
Right.
They can't, I don't think the manufacturers can do anything about it, or rather, but I'm trying to think how to word this. I don't think that they can do anything about it, but there's got to be something they can do to help that, I know, like when I bought my my PS5 through Best Buy, the way they have it set up is when you go to the website and it shows in stock, you click Buy Now. And traditionally, most websites, it just takes you to your checkout information. You put in your credit card, put in your address, you're good to go. With Best Buy, the way they do it is after you click Buy Now, it pops up a little thing that says something along the lines of, due to high demand for this item, there's another step you have to go through. What they do is they just make the website sit there waiting. And then eventually, the add to cart button will pop back up and you can click on it. And it's kind of a way to, in a sense, kind of deter any bots that are set to know as soon as I click, that are programmed to go, all right, as soon as add to cart is pushed, enter billing information and immediately check out. Because it might not pop up, the add to cart button might not pop up again at the same time, or it might not pop up at all if they've ran out of stock of it. So, I mean, there are companies that are trying different things, but there needs to be a surefire way to prevent this so that people that, legitimately want to get these consoles, especially like with the holidays past us now, I guarantee there were a lot of parents that they wanted to get a new Xbox, they wanted to get a new PlayStation for their kids, that they weren't able to because those things were going so quickly, and the majority of them, it seems anyway, to scalpers. That's some kid's Christmas ruined right there. Meanwhile, some scalper just sold a system for more than double its markup price, and they're happy. So
right, and they probably also have a small truck full of those systems.
Oh yeah.
Then there's multiple ways out there that we could deter these scalpers, like you said. I mean, even the use of simple things like a CAPTCHA.
Absolutely,
is enough to confuse the hell out of most bots and prevent bot spamming. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why, at least for these kind of scenarios, they don't implement some kind of CAPTCHA to be able to prevent them from purchasing these things. Now, at the same time, looking on the other hand, playing my own devil's advocate here, retailers don't care. They're getting paid no matter what.
Exactly. They sold a console. They don't care what happens to it after that.
Right. Now, personally, myself, I think I remember reading back when the consoles first started coming out, or the pre-orders first started happening. Phil Spencer, who's the head of Microsoft's Xbox division, said that he doesn't like the pre-order concept. He more prefers the deposit concept, where you pay for your system, or you pay for your you pay for your thing, or you put a deposit on it or whatever, and then basically you get put in a queue, and when your system or when your group becomes ready to receive their order, then you finish paying for your system, and then you get the next shipment.
I like that.
One of the gaming chair manufacturers that I really like, Secret Lab, they do that with their gaming chairs. They run them in production batches, and depending on when you order will depend on what production batch you are in and when you will get your chair.
See, I think that's the way to do it. I kind of mentioned while you were having blue screen issues when I was still talking that I used to work at GameStop, and there were so many times where like people would like. Talking would be great if I could do it while you're actually here, where people would want to reserve a new console, like when the PS4 and Xbox One came out, and we'd be like, oh, well, we were only given X number to pre-order at our store. Well, obviously they're going to make more than what our single store was pre-ordering, so it would have been nice for people to go, okay, well, instead of me driving around to 40 different stores, checking 100 different websites and trying to find one when they come out, can I just put money down on one, and then when you get some in, give me a call. That way I know I've got one guaranteed eventually. And I really like that. So I would have liked that system much better. I wish more places would implement something like that. And then, like you said, if, let's say you've got, a PS5 on that kind of setup, your group comes around, they go, all right, hey, you still owe half of it on it. If you can't pay for it, effectively, you don't lose your money. You just forfeit your spot in line until the next run runs up. So you still got money down on it, so you can eventually secure one. It's just a matter of, well, when's your group going to pop up again, and are you going to be able to pay for the rest of it? So I think it's a better system all in all, because it alleviates a bit of that stress of having to try to find, the new hotness, knowing that you've got one secured. It's just a matter of when are you going to have it secured.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that perfectly. And sorry, folks, for my absence. You know how these things go. Hashtag thanks, Microsoft. Even though I'm here touting
I was going to say...
I'm touting the greatness of the Xbox, which I will fully admit, I have never had an Xbox blue screen on me, so that does have a one-up on my computer.
Oh, man, yeah. Are we going to talk about the old Red Ring 360s here, or is that horse been beaten dead enough?
You know what? I think it's been long enough past at this point that the younger audience probably has no idea what we're talking about.
Oh man.
But and for the older folks that actually listen to us, they're probably huddled in a corner crying right now, remembering the vicious evil that was the Red Ring of Death.
Oh man, yeah, that was a really fun time. I remember when that issue first started getting really bad. I had actually gotten a letter in the mail from Microsoft saying, hey, your console was one of our first, X number of production runs, which means that you are likely to experience this issue. So as a courtesy, we've extended your manufacturer warranty for, I think it was a year or 2 years past its date. It said, just make sure you keep this letter, make sure you register your serial number. And I think I had to send in, I got lucky. I think I only had to send in 2 360s. Then my third one never had any issues with it, if I remember.
Yeah,
I think
the
it was only
360
2.
went through a few different production runs too, though. I mean,
Yeah.
there was also the 360, and then they had another kind of mid-life upgrade of the 360, slightly better hardware. I think they
Right.
removed the hard drive sitting on top of the unit, made it an internal drive, I think. Because I had one of those as well, and then I had one of the Y360s.
Oh, right.
But for me, the only time that I ever got red ringed
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't the 3 rings, it was like the 1 ring or the 1/4 of the ring. So it was an AV issue.
Oh, yep.
Which I had originally chalked up basically meaning my card, the video card's dead. The unit's probably screwed because it was definitely out of warranty at that point.
Right.
But I read I did a little digging online and read a couple of things after a few weeks of being sad that I didn't have my baby. And it turns out it might have just been, people reported the issues happening, loose connectors between the AV cords on the back of the 360. So I went behind my 360, jimmied the cord a little bit, and voila, no more red ring, and I got to play Halo 2 for the next God knows how many years.
Ever.
No,
yeah.
So
yep, I remember that issue too. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, every console I think has had its fair share of issues out there. I'm pretty sure the PlayStations have had their problems.
Well, I mean,
I know there was a pretty big one with the PS3s. I can't remember what exactly it was though.
Oh goodness, what was it? I'm trying to remember now.
I think it had something to do with an update or something like that. I know. There's also there was the huge PSN hack a few years ago, but I think that hit the PlayStation 4s.
Yeah, if I remember right.
And I mean, they were down during the holidays several years ago, and literally down. People couldn't use their PlayStations at the time. So
it was right when Destiny 1 came out.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember right. So there were a bunch of people that got that new game on their PlayStation and couldn't even play it because you had to be online to play it.
Right.
But like the only, I know you've had, you being the Xbox guy, you've had your issue with your Xbox, a minor one. Me being a PlayStation, I don't remember if it was you when I was, much younger living at mom's, my PS2 that blew smoke, literally. And I know I told you about it. I remember I had bought, I don't remember what Gundam game it was, but I had, Gundam Wing was like my thing at the time. And I had bought a brand new Gundam game for my PS2. Got it home, popped it in, turned on the TV, got everything ready. No picture. And then I start hearing the PlayStation winding up like it's going to go into orbit. And then it shot smoke out the back. So, of course, the first thing I do is not check to make sure my house isn't going to be on fire. I'm ripping open the CD drive to make sure my new Gundam game is okay. And the long and short of it is, something shorted out in my PS2. So, after I got my game out and realized I should probably check this, I unplugged it, made sure, that the power outlet on the wall wasn't singed, smelling for other smoke, making sure nothing's burning. I let my mom know, aired out the room, and, luckily nothing burnt down, except for my PlayStation, which combusted on the inside. But I mean, apart from that, I don't think I've had any major issues with any of my PlayStation systems. I mean, I still had, and I still have actually, my original, first gen Model 1 PS1. I still have it, still works great. I don't have it hooked up currently, but I still have it. PS2.
I think consoles are I think consoles are generally built to last for
Well,
the
yeah, I
most
mean,
part. I mean, obviously they're a little bit harder than a PC, especially if you have like a
mhm,
custom built gaming rig. You can't swap out the CPUs, you can't swap
right.
out the GPUs for the most parts. You have basically have to wait for the inevitable at this point
Mhm,
mid-life upgrade that they're going to put out. I mean, that's what happened with the Xbox Series or the Xbox One X was the
yep.
mid-life upgrade that newer chipset and whatnot. The
Mm,
360 did the same thing with I think it was just still the 360, but it was just a beefed up version.
right.
And inevitably, they're going to do that, I'm sure, with this generation of
Oh, yeah.
consoles.
Oh,
It'll probably
obviously.
be I think I think PlayStation had the PlayStation PS4 Pro
Yep.
was I think their midlife upgrade. So inevitably, this will happen. So that
Oh,
actually
yeah.
takes me back to one of the things with the Xbox Series S or the Series X. I purposely went with the Series S, which is a digital only version. It doesn't have a disk drive uh, because I wanted to get introduced to the net to this generation. I wanted to be able to play these new generation games on a
Mhm,
console, but I wasn't quite ready to get in bed with the current specs. Now, don't
mhm.
get me wrong, PlayStation 5 and the Series X are beasts of consoles
Yes,
with
absolutely.
some hefty hardware that just manages to you know be a miracle amount of hardware. If I want to pull up specs, I mean, we're talking Series X, 12 teraflops, variable rate shading, hardware accelerating, ray tracing, quick resume for multiple games, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
All stuff that piggybacks off of these things. 8K capable.
Who's
Most people don't have
yeah,
an
who's got an
8K.
8K TV right now?
Yeah, raise your hands. We'll wait. Hold on. We'll look.
Let's see.
Anybody in the
Two,
audience?
two. All right.
Two,
Oh no,
two.
wait. That
Okay.
guy's scratching his nose. Never mind.
Okay, right. 1 terabyte SSD in the Series X, which is they also have an upgrade. You can plug in a proprietary external hard drive to increase your space. Anyway, I'm singing praises here,
Yep.
but the thing is where we're at right now. Nvidia just released their new 35 or 3000 series cards,
Mm-hmm.
which are not in either the Xbox or the PlayStation. And AMD just released their new Ryzen cards, which
Mm-hmm.
again are not in the PlayStation or the Xbox. These are new generation cards. Now, Xbox and PlayStation both use custom built uh, cards, I believe, from AMD.
Yep. I believe so.
They both use custom built cards, but eventually we're probably going to see those be upgraded here, especially considering that we're seeing new generations of video cards coming out every year, every 2 years at this point.
Yeah.
So we're going to see I'm going to predict that we're going to see some pretty beefy spec upgrades here in the next couple of years. In which case, then I will start entertaining getting a full Series X, which, yes, I will admit, looks like a refrigerator as compared to Tim's oversized toaster oven. It looks like a George Foreman grill when it's laying
It's
on side, folks. I'm
it
sorry.
really kind of does. I had sent him a picture just for size comparison of my PS5 sitting on top of my Xbox One X, and it eclipsed it, easily eclipsed it. But yeah, like
Yeah, and
it's
if we want to talk about size comparisons, when I got my Series S, I wanted to compare sizes, and so I took a picture of it with my PS2, my
Mhm.
OG original generation PlayStation 2, not the slim version,
Yep, the big boy.
sitting on top of the Series X or Series S,
Hmm.
and the PlayStation is bigger than my
Yeah,
Series S. So that
yeah.
shows you how small. And the other thing that I will say that makes me very impressed with the Series S is that it doesn't have an external power brick. I
Wh-
literally just have a cord running from the power outlet directly into the back of the Series S. So there's no beefy, huge power brick that I have to keep an eye on.
which surprised me when you told me that, especially for how small that system is. Like with my PS5, that makes sense. The thing's huge. I'm not surprised it has an internal power supply. But with the smallest that Series S is, I was genuinely surprised that it didn't. And even you've said playing it for a good while, you haven't really noticed it getting super hot like you would expect something that tiny to do. So I mean, kudos to Microsoft for the engineering know-how to make something that small be heat efficient. And I'm
Yep.
almost wondering with the unique shape of the PlayStation 5, I'm wondering how much of that was a design, an aesthetic choice versus how much of it is a functional choice. I mean, they haven't really talked about if the shape of it suits any function other than looking unique. I'm curious if that that maybe helps with the
You're
cooling,
talking about like
airflow.
a heat dispersion type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
you know.
I'm wondering
It's
if that is.
possible. I'm also just going to subscribe to the fact that everything since the PS3 has looked like some kind of George Foreman grill or a toaster oven or something that belongs in your kitchen.
Right.
If you could put a hinge on the back of those things and just turn it into a panini press, I mean, I guess back in the day, if you tried to run Crisis, you probably could cook a panini on the thing.
Well, yeah. Well, you and I actually talked about this recently. Since we're talking about cooking stuff with a console, you've seen the KFC console.
I have seen the KFC
It has
console.
a chicken warmer in it.
Yeah,
This is where next gen gaming needs to go. We need to be able to keep our chicken warm in our consoles. That's
it's
true
not gonna
next
be
gen
true-
thinking.
It's not going to be true next gen thinking. We're taking baby steps here, man. Though we're taking baby steps. It's not going to be true next gen until the damn console stands up and brings you the hot chicken.
Well,
So-
that's a midlife upgrade along with the deep fryer. At least that's the rumor
Right.
anyway.
Well, we gotta be at least conscious of our gaming audience. So it's not going to be a deep fryer; it'll be an air fryer.
Of course, of course.
And generally, it will work best when you're trying to run Cyberpunk 2077 on it.
Oh, we're gonna touch that, aren't we?
I don't know. I think maybe we'll save that one for another episode. We'll let the rest of the internet, beat that horse for a while, and like we always do, we'll come in at the very end of that wagon train and put our own take on it.
That sounds like a plan. So we will save that one for a future episode. So, speaking of future episode, probably go ahead and wrap this one up. We've covered a lot tonight. Well, one of us covered a lot. The other had his computer explode.
It is still running, and while we were talking, I ran a quick check and fixed the problem. So I should be good to go for next time, folks.
Hey, there we go. So, all right. As always, thank you for joining us on Non Sequitur Nerd. This is Tim.
This is Ian.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.